what's happening is that your sense of what reality is being expanded. You're being pushed beyond your comfort zone, metaphysically, epistemologically, psychologically. And of course, it's not just about, don't get me wrong here, it's not just about exploring some alien territories. That's actually not mostly what it's about. A lot of these trips are about exploring your own self, what you are, your own psyche, your own past, your own memories, your own wounds and grudges and fears, and trying to figure out your own life, what your purpose here is in life, how to live your life better, and so forth. Because even though the psychedelics can tune all these other little minor knobs, the most important knob is the central knob of consciousness. By tuning that up, that makes you more conscious of everything about yourself and about reality. And that is really the whole, not the whole, but the majority of the value of the psychedelic is tuning that knob. Because by tuning the consciousness knob up, you can contemplate and introspect and have profound insights into the nature of anything. Science, relationships, sexuality, business, life, death, awakening, spirituality, politics, social sciences, race relations, love, emotions, psychology, psychotherapy, you name it, it doesn't matter. Any topic will be enhanced with more consciousness. Whatever you're interested in. But practically speaking, what's going to make the biggest difference for most people is tuning up that knob of consciousness as high as it can go, and then introspecting and trying to get to the bottom of who you are, why you're here, what is life, what is reality, what is existence, what is love, what are emotions, what is the mind, these sorts of existential questions. All of these questions can be answered, and the insights you get are legitimate, highly truthful insights. Now, of course, it is possible to delude yourself, and the less pure that you are, the more wounds you have, the more shadow material, the more psychic baggage you have, the more dysfunctional you are in your life, the less mature you are, the less developed you are, the less conscious you are, generally speaking, the more likely you are to delude yourself with these psychedelic experiences. But then again, that's true in your ordinary hallucination as well, this hallucination you're in right now. See, the key mistake that scientists and rationalists and skeptics make about psychedelics is they think like, well, but Leo, if I go into that psychedelic realm, how will I know that it's true? But even to ask that question is already, that question is being asked from such an ignorant place. Because if you were at that realm, if you understood how this knob of consciousness works, you would just laugh. Because this current state that you're in, this hallucination that you're taking for granted, this default hallucination that you're in right now, this is one of the lowest, least truthful, most delusional of all the possible hallucinations. See, the scientist makes the mistake of thinking like, well, okay, if I take the psychedelic, it's going to take me to some sort of hallucination land, and hallucination land won't be as real land, what we call life, material reality. And then when I come back to material reality, how will I know that that hallucination land, I mean, it was just a hallucination. And now I'm back in real reality. No. It works exactly the opposite way. You take the psychedelic, you go into real land, you look back upon where you came from, and this is hallucination land. This is delusion land right here, right now. What's going on here? Material reality. So, how is this possible, you might wonder? If you're still struggling to stomach some of the radical possibilities I've put forth here, the reason that is because your model of reality, your paradigm, is actually incapable of reconciling what I'm saying. because what I'm saying doesn't square with material reality that you learned in middle school. The reality of bouncing atoms and molecules and all that. It doesn't square with that. It doesn't square with the reality that consciousness is created by a brain. That's right. Those are stories. Those are paradigms and models that are completely inadequate for understanding reality at its highest levels. That's kindergarten stuff. All the advanced science you think you're doing, it's kindergarten stuff compared to what you get when you're really conscious. And that means you have to be open-minded and humble enough to say, okay, I have to be able to admit that my old paradigms were wrong and highly limited. They're not all wrong, they're just extremely limited in scope, is the point. And you have to be willing to open your mind and to go explore new realities and contemplate and figure out new paradigms. Your paradigms need to be completely retooled. That takes intellectual work and emotional labor. It's not just the work of sitting there and doing math equations. That's easy work. The really hard work is that for you to access and to understand reality at the highest levels, you have to change as a being, as who you are. Your whole emotional system needs to change. All of your entire web of beliefs of how reality works needs to change. But how is it going to change when you're so attached to it? When your career hinges on it? When your family and your relationships hinge on it? Are you willing to give all that up in order to understand reality? If not, then you've confined yourself to this little limited domain, and that's where you will remain. You're like an ant. An ant, all it knows is the little surrounds, maybe a 1 mile radius around its ant colony in the rainforest somewhere, and nothing else. That's all you'll ever know. You'll always be that ant. You'll never understand anything about the planet except that 1 mile radius around your little ant colony. That's what most scientists are like. That's what most religious people are like. That's what most spiritual people are like. That's what most ordinary people who do just normal self-improvement and they just want money and a house and a family and so forth. That's what they're like. They'll never know what's beyond. It takes courage to venture beyond. It takes radical open-mindedness.